Straight talk from Israel. You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
We're back with Lighten Up with Steve Miller and Matt Zucker.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Lighten Up right here on IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com. I am your co-host, Matt Zucker, and I'm here with my dear friend, Stephen Miller.
Hello, everybody.
So, as most weeks go, we said, what are we going to talk about this week? There's nothing really happening.
A slow week. It's just a week filled with anti-Semitism.
Nothing funny. And then all of a sudden in the last couple of days, boom, tons of stuff to talk about. But I think pretty much everyone on the planet right now is talking about Afghanistan. So I'm sure we'll have a few things to share about that.
That's right, Matt. We continue to bring the stupidity of the world to Israel News Talk Radio and all of our listeners. And who better to bring it to our listeners than you and I, right?
Right. Listen, I have to tell you, I was thinking even before this fiasco in Afghanistan, I said, you know what, you can have a game show, right? Who has the most incompetent leadership? And I thought that the United States and Israel are like right neck and neck, but I don't know. You might have the edge now.
We beat you in that. We got a lot of good stuff today, Matt. We got actually. We're going to go back to what we talked about a little bit last week because it's always in the news. COVID. A couple in Israel may get divorced from the COVID shot. That's a story coming up.
There is so much COVID insanity. Oh my gosh, you could do 3 hours on it just on that. Listen, and if we have time, we can talk about Israeli buyer's remorse. Some poll numbers are in. Oh, and how Anne Frank was honored amongst the victims of COVID.
Oh, okay.
By a British soccer team. It doesn't really quite make sense to me, but it had me scratching my head, and we have to at least talk about it because what the heck?
And before we go to a break, Matt, we've got a 100-year-old power lifter, which I can't wait to talk about.
A 100-year-old power lifter, male or female?
She identifies as a female.
She identifies as a female. Oh my gosh! I can't wait. We're gonna have a lot of fun.
All right, stay tuned, everybody.
Israel is located in one of the most volatile areas in the world. Israel is an island of stability in a sea of war and unrest. In the midst of this turmoil, Israel stands out as a beacon of order and human progress. Each week we update you on what's happening in this, the Jewish state, a true light unto the nations. This is Jay Shapiro. Join me every Thursday on Israel News Talk Radio.
Has the news got you down? Not with these funny guys. You're listening to Lighten Up with Steve Miller and Matt Zucker.
Hey, everybody, we're back. Thank you very much for listening to Lighten Up here on Israel News Talk Radio. Listen, Matt. We have some good stories coming up. I want to talk about this one that I got from the Yeshiva World. You know this magazine, Yeshiva World?
I do. They have a great little jingle too when you click on some of their videos. Like Yeshiva World,
Yeshiva World. Anyway, here's one of the headlines. It says Israel's Mossad warns CIA head that new president of Iran, Ibrahim Raisi, is mentally disturbed. That's the headline. Mentally disturbed. And while we're at it, Iran is listening to us. We're told different countries that can listen in. And so Iran is listening, Matt.
Peace.
So the CIA,
I love you, my Farsi brothers.
So the CIA head, William Burns, he met with Naftali Bennett last week, and he met with Mossad head Dovid Bonio this past week. And they gave the CIA something called the Rezi file, and it's titled The Butcher of Iran. That's what they call the president of Iran, the Butcher of Iran. And the file describes him as being deranged. I love it. Meanwhile, you would think with a name like the Butcher of Iran that he'd be a real mensch. How could he be mentally disturbed? That's a good nickname.
I don't think it's that type of butcher, Stephen.
Oh, because the president of President Houseplant, Joe Biden. For those of you who are new to Lighten Up, I refer to Joe Biden as President Houseplant. He said, "Oh, the Butcher of Iran? I know a great butcher in Delaware that Jilly and I go to. Ice cream is cold. Coffee is hot." That's my Joe Biden impression.
I don't think he's quite that animated. So the Butcher of Iran, well, he apparently, I think during whatever period, the revolution, whenever the Islamic Revolution, that he hung a whole bunch of people. And so when I did see in the news here that sitting right behind some scumbag from Hamas and Hezbollah was the
nice.
foreign minister from the EU.
Oh. Well, this
Went
file.
to go watch The Butcher.
The Butcher. Yes, I love that. That's his nickname, The Butcher. Wow, the file mentions, just like you said, that he's responsible for thousands of Iranian deaths. Some he's even murdered personally on his own, and that he derives pleasure from it. This is what they tell the CIA. But I'm thinking to myself, you know what? That ain't nothing, Iran. I mean, you guys have President Raisi, but we've got Governor Cuomo. He's killed thousands.
Thousands, not with his own hands, though.
Well,
because if you want something done right, you need to do it yourself.
That's right. All right, I give credit to Ibrahim.
So anyway, but listen, I cannot let this segment go without talking about their next door neighbors in Afghanistan. Right?
Why? What's going on in Afghanistan?
What a disaster, nightmare it is there. Oh, it's like well, at least Iran, I will say, for a butcher, he at least is very nice. He's opening the borders for any Iranian refugees, or rather Afghanistan refugees that want to flee the Taliban. And I'm scratching my head and going, I mean, that's like the definition of out of the frying pan and into the fire. Right.
I like your cooking reference.
I'm running away from the Taliban. Where are you going to go? I'm going to Iran.
That's right. The Butcher of Iran will take care of us.
So now you have, right, so now it's like the fall of Saigon all over again, but much worse because it's now. And the Americans are lowering the flag at the embassy. I think it's already probably kaput there, but as I'm reading the updates last night, they were burning everything and burning American flags, which is really kind of strange. I'm like, why are they burning American flags? So they can't use them for propaganda purposes. But then I remember a little news story about the gay pride flag being flown from the American embassy in Kabul, and I'm wondering if they left that for the Taliban.
They have a gay pride flag in Kabul at the embassy?
Yeah, you didn't know that apparently a bunch of embassies around the world for Pride Month from the U.S. decided to fly. I think Israel did as well. But I'm just wondering if they, it's a new progressive Taliban now.
Oh,
so maybe they it's not the same old Taliban that cuts your head off. No, they said they want to take Kabul without any violence, and they are so progressive. They are so progressive that women, they said, after they take over, will be allowed to leave the house unescorted by a male.
That is amazing. Yes, the new Taliban. We're going to keep the gay flag because there's a lot of gay terrorists that are on our side. And you know what? They love Joe Biden, the Taliban. Thank you to Joe for giving us Afghanistan back. We knew that if we got you elected, that you would free Afghanistan and you would give us back. Thank you, Joe. So in honor of President Houseplant, did you know that the Taliban, they also call him President Houseplant?
No, I did not know that. I did not know that.
They did. Yes, in honor, we're going to keep the gay flag because we are new and improved Taliban. We are progressive. We love the gays. I have many gay friends and gay terrorists. In fact, the bomb straps are filled with beautiful colors and pastels.
Well, I was wondering with the new progressive Taliban that's going to let women leave the house alone, what else? So you think there'll be a Chabad house there?
Yes.
That'll be coming sometime soon.
Yes, there's actually one Jew left in Afghanistan. He's been hiding under rock number 82, and they're going to build him a Chabad house. Yes, and, come on out, Jew. The one Jew that has survived, come on out. We're friendly now. We won't cut your head off. Don't worry. We're going to build you a Chabad house. Chabad
maybe we'll get them to join the Abraham Accords.
Yes, of course.
So could you imagine? So I'm thinking, right, so the progressive Taliban, they're going to keep the gay pride flag. You think they're going to have Pride Month, including pride parades in Kabul?
Yes, I do. You are 100% right. Everything you say is true, and it's going to happen because President Houseplant will make sure of it.
Listen, but I got to tell you, so some of the news you read over here about it is really kind of funny. I mean, it's sick, but it's funny. So according to Channel 11 News in Israel, here's an interesting bit of reporting. Yeah. The U.S. actually met with Taliban representatives in Qatar. And the U.S., this is according to Channel 11 News here in Israel. So the U.S. met with the Taliban, and they issued an ultimatum. Okay. And they said, America issued an ultimatum warning the Taliban to let all the Americans go safely and not to hurt any of them. And I'm trying to like picture how that conversation went, and I bet you it sounded more like begging.
Yeah, that's right. President Houseplant was begging. Hey, Taliban,
I'm begging you. Hey, we'll get you a plane load of cash.
Hey, I've got cash for you, Taliban. Hey, pillows are soft. Rocks are hard.
So now, and I don't know if you saw any of, and truly, truly horrible scenes at the Kabul airport of people trying to get out of there. And it was gut wrenching. But then you go on to read that now the Kabul airport is closed to all commercial traffic. And I have to tell you, it kind of bummed me out because I was thinking, hey, let's go to Kabul.
That's right.
They don't have any COVID. The COVID restrictions there are really minimal. And I was thinking, but now the airport's closed. I don't think we can make it.
I was just about to take my family to Kabul for the last couple weeks in August. This is a real buzzkill. Yeah, because they don't let you. There's no COVID there. The virus knows not to mess with the Taliban.
Well, now the Taliban's there. I mean, even if you could go, I don't know how progressive they are. I bet you still can't get a beer.
You can't drink in Kabul? No.
I don't know. If they're letting women walk around, who knows?
Of course.
Well, you think they'll be able to vote?
No. President Houseplant, I'm very upset at what's going on.
Oh my goodness gracious! It's not good. It's not good. So sometimes you just got to laugh and say, "Lighten up, huh?" Because.
Hey, when your embassy's going down in flames, you have to learn to just lighten up.
It happened so fast. Well, what happened to? Didn't they say when they were going to pull all the troops out that the Taliban wouldn't run roughshod over the country? They wouldn't take over Kabul, and it would be a peaceful transition of power. I thought I remembered someone saying that.
Peaceful transition of power. Yeah. Peaceful for them is we'll only cut off 3 heads instead of 10. That's peaceful.
Well, anyway, that's all I have to say about that. I'm sure. Listen, and it's only Monday. I'm sure we'll have plenty of more meat to digest next week on that subject.
He sound like President Houseplant. Well, that's all I got to say about that. Let's have some ice cream. Well, we're gonna.
I'm sure you heard of like the UN chief is urging the Taliban to show restraint. Like, who do they think they're talking to?
Please show restraint.
The world is watching.
The world is watching.
They know the world is watching. Anyway, so when we come back from this break.
We're gonna lighten it up.
We're gonna lighten up even more.
We have a great story. A couple getting divorced over the vaccine shot, and a 100-year-old woman who's deadlifting.
I can't wait to hear about the couple getting divorced over the shot.
That's right. Coming up. Stay tuned. Don't go away, everybody.
The Tamar Yona Show.
Tamar? She's sassy.
She's smart.
She's funny.
But she's also a real Jewish mother.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tamar Yona. And yes, I can be all of those things. But at Israel News Talk Radio, I'm here to bring you the news stories and guests that you may not hear anywhere else. Join me live on air Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays for the most unique and bold talk radio in Israel.
The Tamar Yona Show.
Shalom, I'm Leah Aharoni. Join me on my show, News from the Torah. Each Sunday, we'll use the weekly Torah portion as a prism for understanding the news today. Listen to News from the Torah to gain clarity about the times we're living in and to understand your own spiritual path in the process. News from the Torah every Sunday on Israel News Talk Radio.
Has the news got you down? Not with these funny guys. You're listening to Lighten Up with Steve Miller and Matt Zucker.
Welcome back, everybody, to Lighten Up on Israel News Talk Radio. Did you miss us from that wonderful break?
I missed you so much.
Listen, Matt, we're going to get off the Kabul in Afghanistan. I got a great story. Well, it's not a great story, but it's a funny story. It's an unbelievable story, right? It happens right where you are in the Holy Land in Israel. This also comes from the Yeshiva World magazine. Yeshiva World is so much better than the Jerusalem Post, I got to tell you. But anyway, so here's the headline. Elderly couple may divorce over vaccine booster shot.
I take it one wanted to get the booster, one didn't want to get the booster.
Right. So they didn't give them their names because they wanted to protect their identity. 50 years of marriage down the tubes because the husband, who's 83, refuses to get the third shot. Well, good for him. I'm not getting it. I don't care what you say. I am not getting that shot.
So he obviously had the first two.
Yes, he did. And then, of course, Naftali Bennett, he gets on the air in Israel, which you spoke to me about earlier, where he was putting everyone in a panic. You must get the booster. You must get the booster. So this guy's 83. His wife is 81. And the wife, she threatened to leave him if he did not get the booster shot. Okay? And apparently the threat didn't work. He just turned off his hearing aid. She was like, Saul, you better get that shot. Saul. He just turns it down. Saul, are you listening to me? You know what this woman did, Matt?
What?
Because he refused to get it, she went to an attorney. This doesn't even make sense. And she filed a restraining order.
What?
But
she must be afraid that he's going to give her COVID.
Yes, she is afraid of that, but she filed a restraining order because if he doesn't get the shot, she's going to evict him. And apparently, I guess, Saul, crazy Saul, I'm going to stalk you.
Maybe.
Is that insane?
Maybe it's not the shot he objects to.
Exactly.
Maybe it's just his wife.
Oh, yeah. He's probably like, good. Call the attorney. Finally, after 50 years, I found a way to shut you up. Good.
Does it make you at all think of the old joke about, why Jewish men die before women?
Why?
Because they want to.
Exactly. Well, if I was married to this woman, 50 years of marriage, she's going to ruin it because her husband doesn't want to get the booster shot. I blame Naftali Bennett. He's causing divorces all over Israel now.
Listen, I have to, you know what? The guy sent out a recorded message. If you're over 60 and you don't get the booster shot, your life is in immediate danger. The alarm bells, it's kind of, when you think about it, I'd like to lighten up. But a couple's going to get divorced because this guy's scaring the hell out of people? Wow.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Naftali Bennett.
And now, by the way, now it's like that was last week, and now this week is everybody over 50 has to get the booster shot or you could die.
I thought it was over 60.
Wait. No, they changed it. Now it's over 50 because they want everybody to get the boosters, and next week it'll be over 40. But, the thing is, everyone has a bad memory. It's amazing. It's amazing because when the vaccine was getting rolled out, it's the cure. We're all going to get the 2 shots, and then, life will go back to normal, right?
Yeah, of course.
No, you need the booster now.
Now you need the booster.
By the way, we have another variant. This just in. We have the Lambda variant, and that's what we're scaring. Yep.
No,
yep.
I never.
We have the
Lambda, like Lambda from Revenge of the Nerds.
How can it not make you think of Lamar Luttrell?
Lamar's in the gay Taliban.
So, anyways, they're scaring us with that. We now have the Lambda variant, and we have to get the booster shot, or they're going to lock us away for Rosh Hashanah. And oh my God, they're scaring the heck out of people. I swear to you, it's I don't know what people are thinking. It's like if you don't get the booster shot, but it makes no sense. But you know what? You were talking about the couple getting divorced over the vaccine, and I'm driving today, and you pass couples walking down the street, and one of them will be wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And the other won't be wearing a mask, but they'll be holding hands. What?
It's like Crips
by the
and
way,
blood.
and no one else around to give them COVID. And I literally see that on a regular basis. One person wearing the mask and one person not. And I thought, that makes you scratch your head.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of division in marriages. The mask versus non-mask couples. It's like Crips and Bloods. They just keep fighting it. Matt. The song. When I read this story, it reminds you of that Paul Simon song, 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover.
Right.
Now there's 51, babe. It's the booster.
Oh hey, listen. Here's another. Let's talk about COVID craziness. I see something about Hadassah Hospital. If you have not been vaccinated, Hadassah Hospital wants you. And let me read this. Because they're doing test trials on their own vaccine. And I just laughed my rear end off. I said, listen, if you haven't gotten the Pfizer or Moderna vaccine, what in God's green earth makes Hadassah Hospital think they can get you to go sign up to test their vaccine?
The hospital has their own vaccine?
No, they're doing tests. They're trying to develop other vaccines. And so they're looking for people who haven't had the Pfizer shot, because Pfizer is pretty much what everyone gets here in Israel. So they look for people who haven't been vaccinated against COVID so they can participate in this vaccine trial. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell are those people smoking? Who do they think they are going to get unvaccinated to participate in a study? Because anybody that wants the vaccine, believe you me, has already gotten it.
You know who they're not getting there at Hadassah?
Who?
That 83-year-old man. I'm not getting it. Phooey! Call your attorney. I don't care. I'm tired of you. I'm sick of this.
But then there was actually an encouraging study that the IDF Home Front Command conducted that they said, according to them, if they do institute more lockdowns over the holidays, that only 30% of Israelis would be compliant. So I was encouraged by that. I'd like to get it down to 20 or 25, but
right. I still
whatever.
Can't get over I still can't. I'm sorry.
No. I was just going to say, but all of this, like when I talked earlier about buyer's remorse, so all of this ties into a new poll out. 51% of people polled miss Netanyahu.
Really?
That simpleton cue ball Naftali Shmenet, 12%.
12%.
He said 12%.
Wait, his likability rating in Israel is 12%?
Times of Israel poll, 51% want Netanyahu as prime minister, just 12% prefer Bennett.
Well, that's higher than President Houseplant. He's got 0%.
I don't believe that. Come on. They fix the poll numbers in America, don't they? They fix elections. They got to fix polls.
I don't know, Matt.
Did I say that out loud? Oh, my gosh.
Jilly, what do you think? What am I polling at, Jilly?
Oh, my God.
Well, you know who may be then, first I want, first of all, I wanted to mention another lighthearted story real quickly. This is I found this bizarre website. It's called barbend.com. You ever hear of that? Barbend. I don't know. It must be like for athletes or something. I don't know. There's a woman there, 100 years old. Her name is Edith Murway. She power lifts at 100 years old.
Where is she from?
Well, she's out of Tampa, Florida. She lives in some rec center. Yeah. Now
she lives in a rec center. I was for a trailer park, probably.
No, she lives in a rec center. But now it doesn't say she's Jewish. But first of all, her name is Edith, and my grandmother's name was Edith. So I know this woman is a Jew, and she lives in Tampa, and that's where Jews go. They go to Florida to retire. But this woman, she's Matt. Check this out. 100 years old. She's in the Guinness World. She's in the Guinness Book of World Records. She's the oldest competitive female power lifter. Okay, she bench presses 45 pounds and deadlifts 100 pounds. She's been in 14 senior powerlifting competitions, which I can't even believe that's even a thing.
I was going to say senior powerlifting. I got to look that up.
That's right. And she's won 9 of them. She's got a silver medal in 2 of them, and she only missed the podium a single time, and that's because she had a stroke.
Stop.
I'm just kidding about that.
Okay.
But I love that. She powerlifting. I mean,
does she get tested for roids?
Yes, probably.
Hi, my name's Edith, and I'm here to compete.
Hi, my name's Edith. Let me put down my tool belt. Oh, my God.
Put some more plates on there. I could do it.
Let me tell you something. My grandmother, Edith, the only thing she used to tell me, she's like, Stephen, go to Corky's and Lenny's and get me a tongue sandwich. I'm going to deadlift that into my mouth.
To what we used to call one-arm curls.
That's right. She loved tongue sandwich, my grandmother, Edith. Get me the tongue sandwich on rye with lots of mustard.
Tongue was never a thing of mine. My mom tried to sneak it into my corned beef sandwich once just to get me to eat it so she could say, "See, you ate it." But I found it.
My grandmother, she could deadlift a tongue sandwich like nobody's business. She's like, Stephen, give me that sandwich. And then you hear her grunting.
The first time I walked into a Jewish deli and saw those tongues sitting there in the case, forget about it.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. No tongue for me, thank you.
I wonder if Edith, the deadlifter, eats tongue sandwich in Tampa at her rec center.
That's a crazy story. I bet you.
Isn't it?
Listen, I bet you she doesn't lock her doors at night, hoping someone breaks in.
God bless her. We're coming to our last segment of the show, everybody. So stay tuned. We'll be right back on Israel News Talk Radio.
In a time where feelings have become fact, where rational thought and common sense has disappeared, one man stands above it all.
I'm Howie Sobiker, your political hitman.
Political Hitman airs every Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. North American time, 7 a.m. Israeli time, only on Israel News Talk Radio.
Are you interested in transforming your life, drawing closer to the Creator, and uncovering the deeper meanings and hidden treasures in the Hebrew Bible?
Then join me, Rav Yitzhak Michelson,
and me, William Hall,
on the Science of Kabbalah, where we are seeking to narrow the gap between what we understand of our physical and spiritual worlds. So make sure to tune in every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Israel time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, here on Israel News Talk Radio.
Has the news got you down? Not with these funny guys. You're listening to Lighten Up with Steve Miller and Matt Zucker.
Welcome back to Lighten Up on IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com. I'm your co-host, Matt Zucker, here with my partner in crime, Stephen Miller.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom. Anyway, thanks for joining us today. It's our final segment. And before we get started, last week, Steve, I talked about, funny signs in Israel that are, the English translations of funny signs.
Yes.
I came across another one.
Good.
Was just, it's too bad we don't have a camera in the studio to show people at home, because it's much better. So this is in a parking garage. A lot of parking garages have multiple exits. Like at the airport, you can exit in a few different spots and takes you to the pay station.
Right.
So here is the sign, and the signs are all in Hebrew, Arabic, and English.
Okay.
And the English translation: last payment station point before exiting. Please pay the parking fee. P-E-E.
I don't even understand
the parking fee. I don't really understand it either, but it's like obviously it was supposed to be pay the parking fee. Right. So it's supposed to be pay the parking fee, but it said pay the parking fee, and I'm cracking up. I'm like, the guy had one job. You got one job. Get the sign right.
And now it's dirty.
And then I realized, I said, what the problem was? I bet you it was an Arab guy that did it, because they don't have P's in their alphabet, and the P is pronounced F.
Yeah, that's right.
So
he was correct.
He was told, right. I'm not kidding. So he was told to write the sign, and maybe it was phonetics. Please pay the parking fee, P-E-E. Anyway, I'll get another one next week for sure. I just wanted to throw that out there. So, but listen, I wanted to talk about a study, or a survey rather, that I saw in the Times of Israel about the prejudice that Jews of color face in the United States from other Jews.
What?
And I thought that was actually I thought that was very interesting, because in Israel here there's Jews of every color.
Right.
I mean every color. So it doesn't surprise anybody, but apparently, so if you're a Jew of color and you're at a synagogue and you're, how people come over to you and sort of are patronizing. Oh, well, where are you from? Did you enjoy our service? Do you have any questions? And meanwhile, they're Jews, right?
Right.
So would you say that most Jews of color in the United States are Jews by choice?
That's a good question. Jews by choice?
Yeah, they weren't born Jewish.
Well, that's probably the first thing that would pop into my mind, but that is definitely that's not true, though.
Is it? No, I don't know. I mean, I'm just asking. I'm not saying.
Oh, you're asking me to actually answer this question?
I'm just wondering if you think that most Jews most Jews of color are Jews of choice in the States. Like in Israel, you wouldn't think that because they're from all over the world here, but in America, not a lot of black Jews at the shul, right?
No,
or Chinese or Indian Jews at the shul.
No,
right? Here they're everywhere. Yeah. So anyway, I was wondering, and it always makes me think of the All in the Family segment. Remember that show, Archie Bunker?
Oh, I love Archie Bunker. Oh, jeez, I love it.
Ding that, stifle yourself.
Get out of my chair.
There was the episode with Sammy Davis Jr. By the way, God bless him. Carol O'Connor was his name, right? The guy was like a liberal all day long. You think, and the whole show is about against racism and bigotry. Right. You think that show could be done now?
No, absolutely not.
Not really. But there was an episode with Sammy Davis Jr. And so Sammy Davis Jr. was Jewish.
Yeah.
So he forgets something in Archie's cab. He comes to Archie's house to pick it up. And Archie says to him, Mr. Davis Jr., I understand you had no choice being born black, but why'd you turn Jew? So I'm looking at this study and I'm thinking, all I can think about is Archie Bunker talking to Sammy Davis Jr. Oh, my gosh. But, it's actually a real thing, because we have a close friend of the family. This black guy, very committed Jew, has been a Jew for longer than I've known him. And at one of my kids' bar mitzvahs, know what synagogue.
Yeah, I won't mention.
We won't mention. A guy of limited intelligence goes up to my friend and he says, so where are you from? Did you have any questions about this? Or does the whole patronizing bit. Meanwhile, this friend of mine was the president of his shul. He could have given the Devar that day. And I just thought it was such a funny, the whole funny, like the race and the Jew thing, because you guys get the white privilege rap in America, right?
Yeah, white people are the worst. Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that because I saw a story relating to this in the Jerusalem Post. Yes, the lovely Jerusalem Post. Actually, you may have a new prime minister, Matt. There's someone who wants to run. Her name is Miri Regev, and she announced that she wants to run for prime minister. And she says, stop voting for white people. Wake up, white people. She's actually part of the Likud party, which from my understanding is a conservative party, but she goes on this rant in this article like a lunatic. And I picked out some quotes. First of all, she praises former President Barack Hussein Obama because he was African American. And she compares the Sephardim to African Americans, okay? And she quotes, she says, they did the menial labor for Ashkenazim over the years. I don't even know what that means. What are Ashkenazim in Ashkenazis in Israel? I don't understand.
Well, I think there might be a little bit of bad blood going back to like the 40 days of like during the Arab expulsion. Okay, so the state was basically founded by the intellectuals. The first government and the founders were European
white people, evil white people.
And so when they had when all of the Jews were thrown out of all the other Arab countries in Africa, and they all came here. Let's just say there was an assimilation problem. But you know what? That crosses every immigrant group in every country always has problems. But
well, she went off. She went off like some lunatic. And here I'm going to quote. This is from Colin. I thought this was hysterical. She quotes, when Obama was elected. Now get ready, Matt, because it's going to get very emotional. I'm going to get verklempt soon, so just listen. When Obama was elected, I sat and cried for an hour in front of the TV. Hey, I sat in front of the TV too and cried myself. And she says, and I quote, and I continue, Matt, when I saw movies and read books on slavery of blacks and about black women having to sit in the back of the bus. Oh, God, I'm starting to cry. It hurt me because where I come from makes me care about justice. Oh, God. Oh, why is there no justice? Why do white people not care about justice? Ashkenazim white people are so evil.
Hey, listen, I got a great
She's
story
a lunatic, and she may be your next prime minister.
Listen, first of all, I don't think she'll be the next prime minister, but they're all lunatics. Do you know how many lunatics are in the Knesset? She is by no stretch unique in that regard. I mean, there are some crazies there. But listen, while we're talking about the race and Jew thing, I have to just share this funny anecdote with you. So I met a number of years ago an Ethiopian guy who came here from the Operation Moses, I think it was, right? That they left Ethiopia, went through the Sudan. He tells us a harrowing story about relatives who died along the way and had to be left there, and about how they were rescued by the Mossad and brought to Israel. And he said the two things that surprised him the most, and by the way, the Ethiopian Jews were cut off from, like, their own knowledge of Judaism does not go beyond the Torah. So they don't know about Purim and the story of Hanukkah. They did not know the temple was destroyed. And this guy says the two things that blew him away the most was got there and there was no temple. I mean, they prayed every day to see that temple. There was no temple. But then the other thing was he looked around and goes, where did all these white Jews come from? The guy was Ethiopian. He thought Jews were black. He had no idea. But rocked his world, man.
He didn't know that our temple was destroyed 2,000 years ago?
Did not know the temple was destroyed, and he did not know there were white Jews.
Hey, where's our temple at, man?
Crazy. But listen, hey, before the show wraps up, I do want to just say a couple of words about the last known survivor of the Warsaw Ghetto just passed away here in Israel at the age of 97 years old. I mean, God bless this man, Leon Kopelman. He was the last known survivor of the 1943 uprising. And instead of, when they were captured, instead of being sent to Treblinka, he lied and said he was a mechanic. So they sent him to go work at a garage.
Wow.
Until the Polish resistance freed him. And then he fought Nazis for the remainder of the war, snuck into what would become Israel illegally, fights in the war for independence. I mean, the guy is like unbelievable, right? And so a real warrior. But here's the thing: you get to the end, and the way they found out that he was the sole survivor was in 1987. 2018. Wrong date. 2018, when they were giving the obituary on the last surviving ghetto fighter who just passed away. This guy Leon goes, no, I was a ghetto fighter. What are you talking about? So then he became the last ghetto fighter. And I was thinking, could you imagine being the family of the other guy?
Oops.
Like, did he have to give a plaque back?
Sorry.
I felt really bad. Anyway, so the other guy who lost the title was Simcha Rotem. No disrespect to you, but
they're all great. They're all great. And but before we leave, can I just say one thing? Sure. I just want to dedicate this show to my father, Zevelvel Ben Moshe. I'm on the radio, Dad. Thank you very much, everybody.
Peace. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.
Where can you get the inside news on Israel? At Israel News Talk Radio, we're dedicated to sharing Israel's inside story with the world by providing our listeners with news on Israeli politics, current affairs, and Israeli Jewish culture. The Israel News Talk Radio homepage also provides you, the listener, with useful information at your fingertips, with scrolling news headlines, weather, currency exchange, Shabbat candlelighting times, and so much more. Our radio programming is always accessible and on demand. We operate absolutely free of charge for everyone, everywhere. If you love what we do, partner with us now by becoming an Israel News Talk Radio supporter. With your support, you'll be inscribed on our Israel News Talk Radio Wall of Fame. There's nothing like us in the world. Be part of something great. Israel News Talk Radio. Straight talk from Israel.
Howdy, this is Rita from League City, Texas, now living in Israel. And though my heart may have belonged to Texas, it now belongs to Israel and all the fantastic show hosts at Israel News Talk Radio.
Hi, this is Michael Solomon from Kiryat Arba, Israel. And why do I love listening to Israel News Talk Radio? Because I love listening to the interesting interviews they do and their news reporting that most other media sources don't cover.
Hey, this is Nicoleko from Malmö, Sweden. It gets pretty cold here in Sweden, so I love cuddling up with a warm cup of tea while I listen to Israel News Talk Radio.
Hey everybody, this is Frank Morris from Tennessee. Me and my dog Buster really love listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
News, opinion, and more. You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.